Oh, the insurance debacle that is motorcycle racing. It's not just an issue in motorcycle racing, but it's an issue in most sports. And so there's no real definite answer to this. But Francis Ngannou with the UFC said something that was insightful.
You know, Francis Ngannou had a very good point the other day that there should be some protection for fighters
podcast.
Because, you know, losing half of your purse because someone made a bad call, there should be a way around that.
That's funny you say that, because I years ago was talking with a buddy of mine, and we were thinking of like an insurance plan for fighters, just for that reason right there. For injury, like say you're because this is the shitty thing that I mean a lot of people probably know this, but you go through a 10-week training camp, and this has happened to me multiple times in my fight. In some fights where the week before the fight, your opponent gets injured, they back out, they can't find anybody to fill in, and now your fight doesn't happen.
Right.
Well, guess what? You just went through all that training, paying your trainers, you know, you still got to pay managers and everything for everything they do work-wise. You don't get paid.
Yeah.
So you're just like, damn it, man.
And for some fighters, if you get injured after that, you're talking, I mean, what if you tear an ACL after that? Then you're a year and a half out. Like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
All right, so this is not just a motorcycle problem. I'm not putting Supercross and motocross in a small little box so that I can pick and prod and poke and say how bad it is because there's not medical insurance. An extreme sport, there's going to be higher medical bills just because of the level of danger involved. So it's not just a motocross, supercross problem, but it is a big problem in motocross and supercross. And the example I'm going to use is Mr. Blows because he posted some information about what his medical bills were. So Cameron McAdoo made a mistake, went from left to right at round 15 of supercross there in Atlanta, and poor Blows got the short end of the stick and ended up running over him and being flip-flopped and was medically air-vac'd. I'm not going to talk about this because you guys already know my view on this. You can go watch another video. Wondering where that video is? Hop's favorite. Scroll down. Extremely disappointing lack of safety. But it's just, it didn't end well for Mr. Blows. And he posted on his story, well, they did, that it was a little ridiculous. $42,000 and $16,000. There's some information that's cut off here, which, yeah, you know, we need to leave that alone. I haven't asked Blows or anything anymore about this. I am just going to assume, and I'm going to use this as an example, and then I'm just going to speak about the problem. So the problem, this is rather expensive. I'd be surprised if Blows, who's a damn good rider, is making this much in salary. And forgive me, I could be totally wrong. He could be making quite a bit more than this. I personally, from the information that I have, I'm going to assume that this is fairly close to what his salary is racing a dirt bike, okay, which is a pretty decent living for racing a motorcycle. That's what all the privateers are out for. They just want to make money riding a damn dirt bike and not be negative. But you have one fall, you're really, really negative. I personally have an $80,000 judgment against me from when I hit a wall. And so the question is do teams pay the medical bills for these guys? I'm going to say no. There's a good portion. I haven't seen many contracts, but the contracts that I have seen, no. This is not a typical thing where they will cover all of your medical bills. It's something that you need to provide outside. And it's 100% for the privateers. Okay? Again, generalizing here. It could be wrong, could be different for some high individuals. We don't know. I'm assuming that I'm using some statistics and I'm placing it into a broader spectrum of, yeah, this is typically what happens. This is a big problem. The sport is incredibly risky and the reward is not there. The purse, we've talked about the purse, gonna make $2,500? Sweet. Well, he risked $100,000 in the damn emergency room in order to win that $2,500. It doesn't add up, guys. The sport needs to become safer, and the sport needs to become more popular in order to have more money in this. It's all about how much money we can put into the seats, how much people are willing to watch so that these guys can make more money. There's a problem where the cost of doing business is so extraordinary when it comes to racing motorcycles that the revenue coming in isn't that much. Everyone likes to think that motorcycle racing it's huge. It's all over the world. It's huge. No, this is a small niche ecosystem around the world. This isn't soccer. This isn't football. We need it to be soccer and football. It's never going to be that big, but we need it to be 100 times bigger than what it is in order to pay these riders what their risk versus reward is so that they can pay their own premiums. And yes, I do think potentially a union would be good for these riders. Yeah, that's the liberal in me, but there's no way that the sport is able to pay this kind of premium. There needs to be money coming in for money to go out. You can't just promise the world and not have anything coming in. And that's the problem we have right here is, I just wish there's a little bit more transparency so that we can fix the output so that we all know what the actual input is, because everyone's starting to question what the actual input is. And I'm suggesting the input is very low and the output is very close to what the income is. So a group policy, what would a group policy do? Potentially you could have some healthcare provider, insurance company come in and say, hey, we want to have a policy for all of the pros. You have to have a pro card in order to do it. And that way, just because of the law of numbers, when you have more people in that policy, just like a big company, that's why they can still essentially make money because they've got a locked-in contract of 300 plus individuals. So, digressing. What would that do? That would keep your monthly premium down for these riders so that they could potentially afford a decent insurance policy. And then it's up to the sport and the powers that be, whether that's Feld, AMA, MX Sports, you name it. They can go, hey, your deductible is still going to be $10,000 because this is catastrophic insurance, but then it's going to be 90% paid after that. That, I think, would still be good for the sport, but you'd have to qualify by having a pro license. That's something that they could potentially do, and I think that would be a smart move to do. But again, it's the cost aspect, okay? I want to know what you guys think about all of this. Let me know if I'm completely just batshit crazy, because I think most of you think that. And then if you have any other suggestions on what we could do to make the sport better, to get more fans into the seats so that we can ultimately have these riders get paid what they deserve. And if there's any ideas of making this safer, because if we can make the sport safer, there's not going to be these huge-ass bills that these riders have. Yeah, it's always going to be risky, but let's try to make it a little bit safer so that these guys can... Could you imagine having riders start racing in their professional career at the age 20 and being able to go to 45? That would be amazing. But no, we've got guys racing professionally from 16 to 24, 25. It's very rare if you can get into your 30s racing professionally. It's just silly. So I'm digressing. This is Johnny F. and Hopper. Till next time. Oh yeah, and hit that like button like you have this giant ass medical bill and you're trying to like shove it down a shredder because you want it just to go away.